When you choose to be disciplined and work hard, life is actually easier.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Solid. We're very excited about today's episode. I'm here today with my co-host Brandon Neil. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Doing awesome.
Looking good in that sleeveless shirt over there, buddy.
Thanks, dude. It's like 120 degrees outside.
It is, yeah.
I think it was 117 today when I got in my truck.
Oh, man. Yeah, August. They just need to take August out of the calendar. Whoever's in charge of putting the calendar together, just take August out. Unless I'm in Alaska.
Yeah.
My ideal life would be to be in Alaska every August hunting Dall sheep.
That's the time, is in August in Alaska.
It's perfect.
We're going to have to go, dude.
Yeah.
I've never been to Alaska, so I would love to go sometime.
It's before all the nasty weather comes into Alaska and you get up in the high mountains and you get some rainstorms, sometimes a little bit of snow, but usually it's really clear and beautiful, and you're at the tops of the mountains and
moderate temperatures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's the days? Or the days longer or short? They're longer in the summer, right?
They're long. In fact, It doesn't probably only gets dark like 2 hours a night.
Oh, wow.
It's mostly twilight. So, you can hunt. You're hunting at night all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you just kind of sleep whenever you need to take a break.
Yeah.
And then you go hunt, and sometimes you're hunting at midnight. Sometimes you're hunting middle of the day. It just kind of, it's kind of weird because you lose track of time. You don't even know what time it is.
We become an actual predator at that point, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And then if you have cloud cover, you don't know where the sun's at exactly. So you don't really know.
Wow. That's awesome.
It's really fun. I mean, you get home and you don't realize how little sleep you get because there's just not a day and a night like there is here in the summertime. The days are so long.
Changes your circadian rhythm for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, man, that's awesome.
Yep.
Well, I'm excited about today's episode. I know we want to talk about a few things. We want to talk about, work ethic and discipline, self-improvement. So let's kick it off, man. I know you got some thoughts. I think work ethic is an important thing that I really wanted to talk about because I think in today's generation, I know I'm a millennial. I think you're a millennial too. Are you a millennial?
I'm a little older. I'm a Gen Xer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you must be right on the edge.
I am. I think millennials are 1982.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm 78.
Okay. Wow.
I lived in the 70s, bro.
Dang, dude. You're 70s, baby. But yes, I know, being a millennial, I know one of the things that I guess the, media or older generation has constantly talked about the millennial generation. I think it's happening again. We were on a call today. Someone said it about a Gen Z, is that they're lazy and they don't have work ethic. And I don't necessarily think that's true of an overall generation. I do think it's true of most people that don't have goals and dreams. And I think that's where people that perceive people's lack of work ethic starts from there. What's your opinion?
Yeah, you hear that quote that says, strong men make good times create weak men create hard times. So that there's that cycle. And I think we've had it so good, especially in the United States of America for so long that, people haven't had to maybe really go and do the work and to have that's a generalization. There's people out there that definitely are out there working hard, but I mean, compared to like our grandparents that lived through World War II and the Great Depression, and even our parents, I mean, today, I don't know how to describe it, but it seems like in some ways, to me anyway, I mean, my dad was a lineman, worked, overtime, 60, 70, 80 hours a week.
Right.
And just all the time.
Yeah.
So I was around that a lot. So growing up, I thought, honestly, I probably would have gone and done the same thing just because that's kind of that was my environment.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that it was because I kind of learned that hard work.
So define hard work. I want to hear that. So like you talk about hard work, because when I hear someone say hard work, I imagine lots of different things. There's lots of things that can go into hard work, but I know what's not hard work, and that's like waking up early and going to work, right? Or coming home from work and maybe helping your wife, right? Because she's been home with the kids all day, or she's been working all day and doing whatever you have to do at home. I know those things aren't hard work, right? There's a lot of things that aren't hard work that people think are work, right? So I know I've known you for a lot of years, and I've always respected your work ethic. I've always, in the past, I think of almost robotic, which is, I think, comes from your discipline more than anything.
Yeah.
But so what would you say? I mean, what is hard work to you?
Well, first of all, I mean, you know this. I mean, when you choose to be disciplined and work hard, life is actually easier. Life actually works a lot better if you'll do the upfront work. And so I've kind of, I don't know, I think just always programmed to do the toughest things first, get the hardest jobs done first, and get them out of the way. Then you can enjoy the fruits of your labor, so to speak. So I think when it comes to work ethic, I mean, there's physical hard work. That's one form of work. You go out and you if you're in construction, you're probably going to be out doing a lot more physical hard work than if you're in an office.
Right.
But you can be in an office at a desk and also working hard mentally, and that can be a grind as well.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, we build our financial businesses, right? You know this. I mean, the hard work, a lot of it was just the relationships and using your heart. Mm-hmm. I mean, just your heart to connect with people and really connecting with people and being, what's the word I'm looking for? Not empathetic, just that empathy you have towards others, being able to feel where they're at. And that's work.
Yeah.
And I think that that kind of work, a mistake I made early on, I think, is I spent so much energy and effort doing that. And I feel like I did a pretty good job of that because I connected with so many people and we built big organizations. You did a great job of that. And we did that in our business. I mean, a lot of people did that and then they did it with their people because of what we taught.
Right.
And then I'd come home to my wife, I'd be exhausted.
Yep.
And then she would get like what was left over.
Yeah, the exhausted version of Brandon.
Exactly,
Yep.
Which is not good.
Right.
It needs to be the opposite of that. I mean, my wife and kids need to get the best.
Right.
And you know what? Everybody should just get the best.
Yes.
And I guess that's a question I'd have for you because I think, especially I watch you today, you do such a good job of balancing all of that. I mean, I don't know how you do that or how you feel about that, but how does somebody work their tail off at work and still have the energy to continue to do it at home? I'm imagining for you, it seems to me from watching from the outside that it almost creates its own cycle of positive energy.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think a couple of things. Which, first of all, I appreciate that. I really do, because it's intentional. I mean, it definitely is. It hasn't always been that way, right? But I think a couple of things. Number one is I'm very clear on what I'm trying to accomplish, and so because of you, early on, I think you were probably the first person in my life to ever teach me to set goals. Mm-hmm. And obviously throughout the last 20 years, I've been very, I've been a student of setting goals, accomplishing goals, those kind of things. And I think obviously I could have done a lot better job, but I think I've done okay. So knowing what I want, number one, and then willing to pay the price to get what I want for whatever it is. And then also not doing anything that doesn't give me more energy. For example, I like to work out for a lot of reasons, but the main reason is how I feel, right? I feel when I'm working out and I'm consistent, I'm sore, right? And I hurt, but I have a lot more energy, which allows me to have more energy with my family. It allows me to be more alert. I just feel better, right? Mm-hmm. And then I think I've been willing to be disciplined to put myself in a position to where I have the financial resources, the time resources to be able to say, if that doesn't add value to my life, I refuse to add it. So then the things that I work on are only things that add value to my life. But again, that was intentional. I haven't always been in a position to be able to do that, but it was intentional from the beginning.
Who gave you that awareness? Like, I mean, I know you said you've learned some from me, but has that been from life as well? Other leaders, what's made you
I would
wake
say,
up to that?
Definitely mentorship, which, there's been a lot of people and I hate to start naming people because then I'll leave someone out. There's been a lot of people who have big impact in my life, starting with my boxing trainer, Keith, and then you, and then so many other mentors in my life, but also books. So a lot of books. I've been to seminars. Just anything. I've really set out on a path of anything I can do that I think will help me think better, act better, become better. It's usually challenging, right? It always hurts. It challenges our ego, our pride, maybe the way we feel if we're working out. But I've learned to love those things. But I think from a self-improvement standpoint, that's where I got it.
How many books do you read in a month on an average month?
5 or 6, probably.
Just me asking that question to me sounds fun. How many books do you read in a month? Because I'm like, I might read one every couple months. I got to step it up on that. Now, I do listen to a lot of audiobooks. I'm always, when I'm working out or I'm riding my bike, I'm always listening to audiobooks or podcasts. But there's something, I think, much more powerful about actually sitting down and reading.
Yeah.
And I just need to force myself to do it more. Because every time I do, I notice an immediate impact in how I think and everything else.
Yeah, I think for me, I'll tell you a quick story about kind of how it started. We were at a place in our business. I was young when we moved up to Idaho. Didn't know anybody. I was very unsure of myself. In fact, your partner in Rolling Bones, Brian, right? Yeah. We went to that meeting called Millionaires in Trainings on my way, Millionaires in Training. Yeah. Right? Yep. And on my way there, I had pretty much quit mentally, right? I hadn't physically quit, but mentally, I just didn't believe in myself. I was struggling. I was going through a lot of challenges, and I was just beating myself up. And so what happened was I get back from Millionaires in Training. I'd seen Brian there, and I met Brian, and he just kind of like inspired me to just like go for it one more time. And our income, we were actually starting to do okay. We're making about $20,000 a month, and so, you're 21 making $20,000 a month. You would think that from the outside looking in going, oh my gosh, you're starting to make money. You're having fun. But I wasn't. I was miserable. Mm-hmm. And so I went to Barnes and Noble, and I saw Forbes magazine said something about the average CEO reads 50 books a year. Here's a list. And I remember that day just thinking, like, if the average CEO of a Fortune 500 company reads that many books, like, why am I not, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had all these people telling me I should read books, and I had read some books, but I just hadn't made a commitment up to that point to become a reader, to become someone who, like, set out to get better. So I bought the 52 books, which was a book a week. I bought all 52 books on that list, and then I started reading them. And then I read this book called Quiet Strength by Tony Dungy.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah, and it just changed my life. It was like, I don't know what it was. People always say, what book can I read to change my life? You're never going to find that until you become a reader, right? Until you just start setting out to become a self-improvement fanatic. So I read that book. It just changed my life. It changed my perspective. It changed the way I felt. I realized that I knew what I wanted to accomplish, and all I had to do was have the confidence to go do it, have a plan, have some goals. And so after reading that book and it had that impact on my life, from that point on, I made a decision. I'm going to read a book a week. And so I just started making it a habit, just like, all right, how do I do this, right? What is it going to do? How can I work it into my life? And so I started reading 15 to 30 minutes in the morning and 15 to 30 minutes at night. And on Sundays, I would read a couple of hours, and I usually finish a book on Sundays. And I would just do that every week. And now it's cool to see my kids doing it, because they see me constantly.
You guys really don't have TV?
No, we have it. We definitely have a TV in our house. It's just never on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. So what? I mean, there's so many good books out there, right?
Yeah.
And I think the biggest issue out there when people are reading a bunch of books is if they would just follow the one book they read, that life would be pretty good.
Yes.
So what's your thoughts? I mean, I'm trying to think the best way to ask this, but you keep reading book after book after book after book. How does that impact you? I mean, obviously, I see it. I mean, I see your life. I see what's happening. So obviously, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Can you articulate like why or how that makes such a great impact in your life? Reading all these books instead of like I could take one book, let's say Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. I think it's an awesome book, right?
Phenomenal book.
I'm like, man, if I would just apply this one book in my whole life with the scriptures, right, with the Bible, then my life would be great.
Yes.
I don't need other books.
Right.
But there's so many good books out there.
And
So
I
anyway.
agree. Yeah, I agree. In fact, I think, you could take the Bible itself and study that, and it's very clear on here's what to do and here's what not to do. And a phenomenal guide to lead you through life and have a successful life in all areas, right? Mm-hmm. But I think, so when it comes to self-improvement, it's not just the one book. To me, it's the habit of getting better. It's the habit of consistently seeking something where I can get another edge, where I can gather more information, where I can learn something new. So for me, it's developing a habit that can give me that edge, and that's what I've tried to do. And then in the process, I learn a bunch of great information. So I think there's a lot of areas that's helped me. One is the discipline factor. It's taught me how to be disciplined in other areas of my life, because that was like the original discipline I added, right? So I was reading every day before I was working out every day. I was reading every day before I was prospecting every day. I was reading every day before I was making all the calls I was supposed to make. So it was like the original discipline for me. And I'm so glad it was. And so that discipline, there's a saying, show me how you do anything and I'll show you how you do everything. Mm-hmm. And I believe that with everything inside of me. So it was like, all right, here's something I'm going to do every single day that's going to add value to my life. So it wasn't so much what book am I reading, rather than am I reading something that's going to make me better, right? So whether that's the same book or another book. So then what started happening is I started reading these different kinds of books, and I've never read a book that wasn't a self-improvement book. Honestly, to this day, I've read, probably 1,000 books. Mm-hmm. Never read one that wasn't self-improvement unless it was my kids or something. But another thing it allows me to do, it gives me a lot of information that I can always relate to somebody about something.
I was just going to ask, what does it do for your relationships?
Yeah, it helps me a lot, because then I can learn, and if somebody's having a conversation, I don't feel like, I don't know anything about that. I feel like, we could have a conversation about that, and I know enough to ask questions that are valid with the topic. And then people love to talk about things they love. And if I just know a little bit enough to know what questions to ask to get them talking about it, then I think it's helped me tremendously with relationships and having a topic, a conversation to build those relationships on. And I'm really grateful for that. And I didn't see that at the beginning. That's happened over time, right? As you start gathering. And I think another thing is people say, well, Jeff, I'll read, and then I'll read a chapter, and then I forget what I read. And that's normal at the beginning, but long term, if you have a goal to really learn from what you're reading, if you have a goal to actually consume the information and then have it make you better, then you're going to retain a lot of that stuff, right? So I love to read. I love to read things that I just like to learn, right? I like to learn. And so when I learn something new, and then it's cool, you can share it with people. Like, hey, did you know, right? And then it creates cool conversations. You never know where that's going to lead. So I think if people read with an intention, hey, I want to learn, like I genuinely want to get better, because our brains are powerful enough to read every book ever been written and come up with something at any given time from that book that can help us in our life. The problem is just people don't consume enough information, number one, and number two, they don't act on the information they consume. Because the hard part about self-improvement is there are a lot of people that read books and then they never apply anything. And I think that's a hard part, is sometimes people you'll see these people that are broke and unsuccessful, and they're readers, right? They read a lot, but they don't ever do anything. You actually got to apply it, right?
Yeah. Good.
So,
you've inspired me to be more of a reader than just a listener.
Well, I think that, it goes both ways, because I wouldn't have read and I wouldn't have self-improved had you not taught me these things early on, like, setting goals, strong work ethic. Early on, one of the things I say it all the time that had such a big impact on me is, Jeff, just do the things that take no talent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that helped a lot. I know you've always had that mindset,
Yep.
When it comes to that, I think the same thing, dude. So I know you've been a reader, you've always self-improved, but I think we self-improve differently. Where would you say you found your edge on this topic? Work ethic, self-improvement, discipline, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to, you were talking about reading there, I was just thinking about comprehension, and same thing when you learn a new trade or a new business. I remember learning sales,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a difference between learning it so you can do it versus learning it so you can teach it. So if I read a book and I go, I've got to teach on this book. So if I got to teach a Sunday school lesson and I'm reading a lesson in the scriptures about that, I'm going to read it much differently than if I'm just reading it just for me.
Yes.
Because I'm also going to be teaching on it and asking questions about it and getting conversation going in the room, right?
Right.
So that's one of the things, for those that are struggling with comprehension, think about that. I mean, if you had to teach what you're reading, teach it to your kids or teach it to your spouse immediately after, it brings it to a new level, right?
That is such a good point, dude.
Yeah. I mean, so that's what I would always do with teaching sales too. I mean, I wasn't just learning it for me. I'd go, okay, I've got to. So when I was actually the student in a training, we'd have our leaders up there training. I was taking notes to take those notes and then take them to my team and teach them what I just learned. Right. I think most people are just taking notes just for them. They're not even thinking about, I've got to teach my people how to do this.
Right.
So, I mean, I think there's different levels, right? There's one level, where you're sitting there and you're listening. That's one way to learn, right? Mm-hmm. Or if I'm trying to remember what I used to teach people when I was field training. I might say, okay, now, one thing you can do is you can watch me do it. That's one way to learn. Okay. And then the next level would be you start doing it and you do it. Then the third level and the best level is when you teach somebody else to do it.
Yes.
Right. And then if you're teaching them to teach the other person to do it, there are different levels of, leadership and learning and all that. Mm-hmm. So all this that we're talking about today, work ethic, discipline, self-improvement, I'm always thinking about that with the people that I'm working with. And another thing too is, when we leave this life, we don't take all of our stuff with us, but all the knowledge that we gain, we get to take all that with us. And we'll have so much more advantage, later. Because I believe this life isn't it, right? We're going to continue to expand and grow after this, so we get to take all that knowledge with us,
right?
So
yeah, I think you had a good point, because to me, that's what leadership is. Whether you're leading your family, whether you're leading those around you, is the desire to get better and learn something that can impact other people's lives, not just our own, right? Because if you make the world around you better, then your life is automatically going to get better. And I think so often people are so self-centered, especially in sales, right? They get this, oh, I can make another sale because of this. Oh, I could close because of this, or oh, I won't miss as many sales because of this. Rather than thinking, okay, yeah, how can I take this, simplify it, and teach it in a way that everybody can learn it. But now what I had to do in order to take it and simplify it is I had to really understand it. So rather than just having information that can make me sell better, just because you say the right words doesn't mean you actually understand what's happening, right? Mm-hmm. But once you understand it, it allows you to simplify it and then go teach someone else to do it. And I think that's the real genius in leadership, is saying, all right, can you take something that maybe seems like a lot or seems complicated or seems hard, simplify it, and then be able to duplicate it in others, whether it's your children, your spouse, sales, business, church, whatever it may be. That is leadership.
Yeah.
Right?
If you don't know it good enough to teach it, you don't understand it yet. So I'm always trying to think about that too. If I'm learning something new, can I teach this yet? And then not only can I teach it yet, can I teach somebody else to teach it?
Right.
Because if it's not simple enough to where, like you were saying, you can duplicate that, it ends there. This is really good. My wife actually sent this to me from Darren Hardy. And just talking about some of the success, it says the key to success is never new information. If more info is all that people needed, then anyone with computer access, then computer access would be then anybody with computer access would be wealthy, fit, and intelligent. It's discipline and work that is the great separator.
Amen.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Because you think about it, everybody's got Google now.
Yep.
Right. And so as we're talking about reading these books and then actually applying it with that discipline, I mean, discipline, when motivation runs out, discipline keeps you going.
Amen.
Right?
Yeah, it reminds me of the saying, discipline is doing what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it, regardless of how you feel. Mm-hmm. It's like going to the gym. Some days I'm so sore, I don't feel like doing it, but regardless of how I feel, I just do it anyway. And then one of the things I always tell myself during that, Brandon, is I always say, internally, I don't feel like doing it. I'm so sore, I hurt, I'm tired, whatever the excuse may be. And I just always say, you'll never regret it. right? You'll never regret working out. You're never going to regret becoming too successful. You're never going to regret having a great family. You're never going to regret being a great man. You're never going to regret doing the right thing. You're never going to regret those things. However, you might regret not going to the gym. You might regret not reading the book. You might regret not instilling great principles into your children. You might look back and regret not doing those things. But if it's something that's going to benefit my life right now, regardless of how I feel, I think the way that I've been able to apply discipline in my life by removing some of the emotion from it and not being emotionless, just removing the emotion from the decision is just, I'm never going to regret doing it.
Yeah.
Like leg day, right?
Right.
I mean, like sometimes man, I don't want to do this. Everything is heavy. I'm not going to regret it.
Well, you're doing 75 hard right now.
Yeah.
You traveled while
Yes.
doing 75 with kids.
Yeah.
Still had to work out twice a day. Still had to do your reading. Still had to drink your water.
Yep.
Right? What else is there?
Work out twice a day, drink a gallon of water, read 10 pages. One of the workouts have to be outside.
You're being accountable. You post every day, right? I think that's part of it.
Yeah, taking a picture every day.
Yeah. Because accountability is important, right? I think you want to design your life when it comes to discipline. People go, I'm not very disciplined. Well, you need to design your life to where you're going to become disciplined. I mean, and one of the things that I have tried to do is accountability is a big part of that, right? Yeah. So, like in business, you got to do your prospecting, you got to set your appointments, and you've got to do that, right? And so I remember the days where I felt like I wanted to quit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to quit, and I might have quit, but I had several appointments that I set up ahead of time. So I might have quit, but I still had to go on the appointment. Yep. And I tricked myself into staying in the business long enough, you know? And I think when it comes to working out, if you already have you have your 75 hard goal, my goal is just to continue to stay physically fit all the time. I just know, like when it comes to diet, nothing tastes better than being fit feels, right? Right. So anytime I want to go a little crazy, like I like a brownie or ice cream, I love ice cream, right? Yeah. Or pizza. I love all that stuff. Yeah. But every time I want to overindulge, I go, it feels way better to be fit than to eat that thing, right? Yeah. And so, when it comes to going to the gym in the morning, I'm sore, and I don't want. I'm 40. How old am I now? 43. Yeah. Right, just about.
Just
almost.
Stop counting.
Yeah, yeah. I'm serious. So I'm getting to that age where I'm like, am I 42 or 43? I'm 42, but I'm about 43. I'm almost 43. So I'll round up, I guess. Most people want to round down, but there's plenty of days, especially now. I'm like, I just do not feel like going, but I've already made the decision I'm going to go, and I've tried to teach myself. I remember Bill Whittle talking about Christopher Reeves when he fell off his horse and got paralyzed, I think, from the neck down, right? Yep. And so he could never go to the gym doing that ever again, right? And so he said, when you think about going to work out or doing something you don't want to do, you don't have to go to the gym. You get to. You don't have to do leg day. You get to. Your legs work. Yeah. So I try to think about that anytime there's something that's difficult that I don't feel like doing. I get to. We live in the United States of America. We get to go do all this stuff. We just, and I catch myself all the time. I'm sure everybody else does too. Or, I have a tendency to complain. I have to go do this, and I'm like, whoa. What am I whining and complaining about? Right. I get to go do these things.
Yeah, and I think that's attitude, and your attitude about discipline is, I've always said discipline is easy if you're disciplined, and it is, right? Like you talk about 75 hard. When we had this trip, we went to 3 different places, right? So we flew from, we originally, so check this out. So we're in St. George, and we're doing 75 hard. So we made a commitment we were going to do 75 hard long before there was some trips that were for business and some of it was vacation. And so we made a commitment early on that we were going to do 75 hard and we were going to complete it. When we said we were going to do it, we didn't say, we'll see if we can do it. We'll try to do it. It's not 75 try, it's 75 hard. It's not going to be easy. So we made that commitment. So we made the commitment, then we started planning our vacation. We realized that we couldn't fly out of St. George because we were flying from St. George to Virginia. Mm-hmm. We couldn't fly out of St. George and get to Virginia in time to work out. So what we did is we said, all right, we'll work out that evening, and then we'll drive to Vegas and stay in Las Vegas so that we can wake up in the morning, work out at the hotel, and fly out of Vegas and be to Virginia quick enough so that we have enough time that evening to work out. And then we were going from Virginia really to the Bahamas, but we couldn't go straight to the Bahamas and get a flight that would allow us to work out. So we flew to Florida, stayed a couple days in Florida so we could do our 2 a day, right? And we ended up staying a few days there. We just said, hey, we'll stay there. We got some friends there. Love to link up. And so then we flew from Florida to the Bahamas. And same thing, when we were coming home from the Bahamas to Las Vegas, we planned our entire trip around 2 a day workouts. And one of the workouts, I knew when we landed in the Bahamas, our flight got delayed. And no joke, dude, we worked out at the airport in front of the airport. There's not a gym at the airport. But I took my jump rope with me, and we were doing calisthenics workouts. And in front, everybody thought we were crazy at the airport, but I had to get a workout in before the night ended. And so we planned that whole trip. And I think a lot of people, what happens is they make a decision, and then they change it like halfway through or something. It's like, I don't understand that.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, a motivation for me, you're talking about being in airports, is you just go walk through any airport when you're traveling and look at how few people are fit.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
It is.
And it motivates me, so I've done that. I've done the airport workouts before. I'll always have a pair of bands in my bag.
Yeah.
I'll pull out those bands. In fact, I'll do a band workout at home all the time.
Yeah.
You can do them anywhere. You can do burpees anywhere.
Yep.
And there's no excuse when you make that decision. The point, what I'm hearing you say is when something's important enough to you, you will make it work.
Yes.
So it is, your health important enough to you? Is your success important enough to you? Is your partner important enough to you? Are your kids important enough to you to?
How about your word important enough to you to do what you said you were going to do? Because to me, like one of the things like starting 75 hard is not so much, oh yeah, I did it and I didn't miss it. It's like, all right, I started this with my wife. And I told her, okay, we're going to do it. And so I want her to see me see through a commitment. Why? Because when we got married, I committed to her, right? And I want to be that man that she knows, okay, if my husband tells me something, it's going to happen, right? I can expect and I can trust and I can know that he's going to fulfill that thing he said he was going to do.
What's cool is you guys are doing it together. So as you guys accomplish it together, how much more does that make your bond as well?
Yeah.
Because you did something hard together. You're raising kids together. You've built businesses together. You're still doing all that. And I just think that's really cool to watch all that taking place,
Yeah, it's fun, man. It is fun. But yeah, I think that, when it comes to that commitment, it's just like, all right, if great people make commitments and stick to them. They, so often, you talk about discipline and saying, well, a lot of times people go, well, I'm disciplined. Well, you're disciplined as long as it's convenient, right? As long as the emotion allows you to feel good about what you're going to do. But as soon as it doesn't feel good, as soon as that emotion leaves in which you made the decision, I know there's a definition of maybe it's discipline. As soon as, discipline is doing what you're supposed to do long after the emotion you made the decision in leaves.
Yeah.
And I think it's true. When it's uncomfortable, do you continue to do the things that are hard, right? When you're not having a great day or when you're sick, like during 75 hard, Kelsey got COVID, and we, every day, we never missed a day, 2 a day workouts, all this kind of stuff. And we just knew this is what we have to do. We made a commitment. We're going to do it and we're going to see it through,
It's awesome.
And that's going to transfer into other areas of our lives.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no question. No question. Yeah, I was just going to say something. I wrote this down, and now I can't remember what I was going to talk about here, but because it was right on the tip of my, how that goes, right? Sometimes you have something you're going to say, and you can't remember what it was.
You should just cut me off, man.
I should. No, it's okay. It'll come back to me, I'm sure.
Well, let me ask you this, though. I mean, I've watched in your career for so long, because I've watched you be tremendously disciplined. Where did that drive come from? I mean, was it from your goals? Because I've always assumed that people that didn't have motivation, work ethic, or discipline just didn't have goals.
Yeah. So, I think I've talked about this in some previous episodes, just seeing other people that were successful in different areas of their life and wanting to emulate that and have that in my life, so I would see that as very motivational to me. And then I would also see the opposite of that, people that were struggling. Or I remember going on my mission and getting outside of Utah, the bubble.
Yeah.
And middle of wintertime, flying into Philadelphia, getting off the plane. It was a stormy, dreary day. Driving from the airport in Philadelphia over through Camden, New Jersey, and seeing all the projects and everything, and just going, holy cow, this exists in the United States of America, this poverty, this crime, it was a massive shock to me.
Yeah.
And I think, man, if I didn't serve in Camden right away, because I think if I would have been like too shocked too quick.
Yeah.
So luckily I was put in more of a ritzy area in New Jersey. That's where I was. And that kind of worked me in so that later in my mission, when I went to Trenton and Camden, then I actually enjoyed it because I was like, oh, this is, I want to help these people in any way I can, give them a good message of hope. Hopefully maybe them or their kids or kids can pull themselves out of this situation. So that's been big motivation. When I got back from my mission, I wanted to be as far away from the poverty as possible. And now, for anybody who might think, oh man, you've always, just hit it hard. And I mean, I do tend to sometimes bite off more than I can chew. And that when it comes time to, do something, whether that's fitness or business or whatever. But that's just kind of my personality. But I think a mistake a lot of people make is let's say, I know we're talking a lot about working out because that's what we do a lot, right? But a lot of times people will go, I want to go run a marathon. And so they'll go out and they'll start running 8 or 10, might go do an 8-mile run first thing out. And then they're injured and they're destroyed, right?
Sore for a week.
Yeah. Maybe if you've never ran, you should just go for a mile walk.
Yeah.
And do that. And that's okay. Go walk some hills by your house. And hey, still to this day, I pretty much mountain bike or run, and I go to the gym every day. But there are days where on my run, I just walk.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm not feeling it today. I'm just going to walk. I'm just going to walk through it, and I get done. And usually about, I don't know, a little ways into the walk, I start running because you just get yourself past that part, right? So for those who are struggling with getting discipline, maybe reading books, start small.
Yeah.
Read a page a day. Read a paragraph a day.
It's that whole concept, how do you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time.
Yeah.
I also think most people, we are going to talk about fitness, most people underestimate the power of walking. They really do. Like how little do people walk? And that's what I love about 75 Hard. Is it's really not a fitness thing. It's a mental discipline. Just making the commitment up front. Okay, I'm going to do this, a workout twice a day, rain, sleet, snow, hail. I want to be outside in it, whatever the weather is, and I'm going to do it, right?
And you got to schedule it in, and it's got to be a non-negotiable time. Talking about discipline, right?
Yep.
Have a schedule, have a plan, and have your non-negotiables in there.
Yep.
Get your family times in there, get your business meeting times in there, get your recreation time in there, get your workouts in there, even put in when you're going to eat in there.
Yes.
And then follow that sucker like it's, create your life, don't react to it, right? So many people are reacting to life.
Yes.
Every time something comes up, they're going to react.
Yes.
But if you, and you know this, I mean, you watched me do this, I know you did the same thing, is, you could not get me, you could not get in the way of me doing my prospecting every day for my business.
Right.
I did that religiously every day, never missed, right? And then I had my follow-up time in the afternoon, and then I would do appointments at night. And you could not catch me at home. You could not, there was just no way because I was designing my life. Hector Lamarck used to say all the time, create your life.
Yes.
And so I was always focused on doing that exact thing. And you're doing the same thing with your 75 Hard. It's scheduled in. There's non-negotiable.
Yeah. I think that I've always tried to, have a term I learned from Whittle, which we got to get him on one of these days.
They'd be really good at one.
Rigid flexibility, right? There's things I'm going to be rigid about and other things I'm going to be flexible about. A couple things I'm going to be rigid about. I'm going to work out every day. I'll be flexible on when I like to work out.
If you need to adjust it, you can adjust it,
Yeah, but I'm rigid on the fact that it's happening. But I'll be flexible if we need to move it. I'm rigid on the fact that I'm going to eat a meal with my children. For example, this is a good example. My mother-in-law was at our house. She stayed at our house last night. And in past episodes, I talk about every morning I make breakfast and our family sits around at the table. It's important to me. And this morning, my mother-in-law was on a call, and she comes to the table and puts her phone on speaker. And I just said, hey, I love you. I know you got to do a call, but we finish your call and, you know, you're more than welcome to go to my office and we're going to sit here, but we're not going to do that. Right. Because there's things that I'm rigid on is we're going to have breakfast and we're going to have breakfast as a family. I'm flexible on what time that is. So I'm fine with us all waiting for 20 minutes for her to finish up a call because I love for her to be a part of it. I want her to be a part of our meal in the morning. But I'm very rigid on the fact that we're going to sit and have a breakfast as a family and we're not going to be on phones, right? We're going to be talking. So that's a thing where you can make things very rigid flexibility. There was another point I was going to bring. Oh yeah. And another thing that I learned early on from you, in fact, was breaking my day early on in my career into 3 mini days. So basically I would, you know, in my business before it would be 9 to noon. So I had these tasks. So I would do, you know, like anything before that would be, you know, breakfast, getting ready for the day, affirmations, self-improvement, all the habits, positive habits. But 9 to noon was prospecting. Right? Creating new qualified prospects for my business. That was what I was going to do. From 1 to 4, so I had lunch in there from 12 to 1. From 1 to 4 was follow-ups, interviews, and then 6 to 10 o'clock at night was kitchen tables, right? So those were the 3 mini days, and if I wanted to do anything else, it was going to be before or after. And so what I do now is I still run my life kind of on that schedule, but I do from the time I wake up, which is, you know, probably I usually wake up around 7-ish, right?
Because the sun doesn't come up before that.
If God wanted you to wake up earlier than that, he would have made the sun come up early. There's all these guys, man, you got to wake up at 5 a.m. to be successful. I'm sorry. No, you don't. I'm sorry, you do not. That is a lie, right? Now, maybe it works for some people.
You should be in bed by 9 p.m.
Yeah. See, so that's the difference, right? There are some people that they work.
I'm joking.
No, you're right, though. There are some people that work like that, right? But not me. I've just never been that guy, and I don't think that there's only one way to succeed either. But so I usually wake up around 7-ish, and then that the morning time until noon is my family time. So, you know, my kids are homeschooled. You know, we don't have jobs, so it's a little bit. We have a different situation today, but. From 7-ish in the morning until noon, we eat breakfast, get the kids ready, do homeschool, work out. We do all that stuff by noon. And then from noon to 6 o'clock is my business, work, network, whatever I've got to do. And from 6 o'clock till midnight is dinner with the family and time with my wife, right? And that's the time my wife and I really spend a lot of time together. And so I've tried to break my life up into 3 mini days today, and you can get a lot done, right? I get a lot done in those 6 hours. And of course, you know, you've been on calls with me and stuff where I'll make time for calls in other places, but the general schedule I run my life on is that, and it's 7 days a week, right? Because I love my life. I don't have to go. This is another thing. I think people will go on the weekends, they sleep in on Saturdays. Or you sleep in on Sunday, or you just lounge around on Sunday. And I truly believe on Sunday, that's fine. If you should take a day of rest, if you worked the other 6, you know, or in business, I would have these people that would hide behind the cross and go, you're supposed to rest on Sundays. I go, yeah, but it's very clear you're supposed to work from sun up to sundown, and I know you didn't do that. Right? If you work from sun up to sundown 6 days a week, you deserve a day of rest and relaxation, right? Because you earned it. But most of the time, people don't earn that stuff. So I've tried to design my life in a way where every single day I enjoy it, and I don't feel burned out. I feel like I accomplish all the things I want to accomplish. I don't feel like anything's getting left behind. And it's taken a long time to get there, right?
Yeah, I think you learn how to do that because you want to think long term. You know, if you're going to, like you say, if you're going to burn yourself out, what good does that do? You know, you've got to create a life that continues to perpetuate that energy, and you love your life because of the way it's going. And I think sometimes people might hear, I think a reason why maybe people don't work harder or more disciplined is they're maybe afraid that if they do that, they're going to be tired all the time, or they're not going to be happy because of programming.
Right.
You know, and it's a eternal principle. I mean, that if you work hard and you have good discipline doing the right things, God will bless you. That's where you find all your happiness, is by serving and working and helping other people.
Yes.
You know, that's where it's all at. Not pleasure, right? Pleasure. Right. I mean, you know, pleasure might be fun for a second, but it's the hard work ethic or hard work and discipline that brings all the rewards in life.
Yeah, I don't think you're ever going to find true joy and fulfillment seeking pleasure. but
No, you won't. Yeah.
you will in seeking service, which is usually the, us taking our talents, treasures, and time and seeing what we can do to make people's lives around us better, whether that's our family or our business or whatever it may be, right?
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And, our kids are watching us. I've been watching our two daughters recently. So, those that have listened to the past podcast know my wife Lexi played softball growing up and was really good, had a full ride scholarship that I talked her out of, and we got married instead because she would have went to BYU, Idaho, and I probably wouldn't be married to her. So I didn't let that happen. As if I, anyway,
if you had control over that situation.
It was a mutual decision. I didn't make her do anything. I don't think. She might say no. But anyway, just that discipline that she had, I see that in my daughter Sailor right now. So my Sailor's my second daughter, and so it's kind of funny. It's just a small thing, but I also think it's a big thing. If you know Sailor, she has really long, beautiful hair, and not that I'm a hair expert or anything, but if you use curling irons and things, it'll make your hair brittle and break off. And so Sailor on her own made a decision. I'm not going to use any heat on my hair. But if you see Sailor, now her hair is pretty straight, but she has some curl in it. But if you see her on a lot of days, she'll have curls in her hair. Well, you know how she does that is she has this, I don't know what, contraption of some sort. It's a soft, like pillow looking thing. And she'll take the time, like every night, to put it around her head, wrap her hair around. She's got a lot of hair.
Yes.
And she's just every night does that because she wants to have beautiful hair. So she's doing all this extra little disciplined stuff. And her hair is beautiful. Yeah. And even Lexi sometimes say, they're just hurting to use a curling iron. We got to go. And she's like, no, Mom, I'm not doing it. Right. And so she's almost to a fault of discipline. I don't want to say to a fault because I think it's a strength, Yeah. And Lexi's the same way. There's certain things, and I guess I am too. We have our certain things that we just will not budge on.
Yeah.
And you start seeing that when you start seeing it in your kids is when it gets really fun.
Yes.
Jersey's been working hard at her job because she wanted this Subaru WRX, and that's what she wanted. She's been watching Fast and Furious. Yeah. And so she wanted a Dodge Charger, and we're like, well, yeah, that's quite a bit more money than a WRX and probably be hard for you to afford that because I want her to pay for it. And so anyway, she went and got a job 6-8 months ago, been working really hard there, got together a great down payment. And it's just been really cool to see her not just take her shifts, but look for any other shift that's available. She'll talk to her coworkers and say, hey, if you have any open shifts, I'll take them.
Yep.
And she'll work every day if she can.
Isn't that funny how once somebody has a goal and they know they really want something, they'll get creative, and then all of a sudden work ethic, desire, all that stuff shows up.
Oh, and
right?
She doesn't complain. And that's kind of a big lesson for all of us, right? When there's something we really want, work no longer seems like work.
Right.
And I've watched that with her, and even now she goes, and she doesn't ever complain. I haven't heard her complain about her job one time. And it was really cool. We actually surprised her with her car last week.
Yeah.
So we went down to the dealership. Lexi and I did look at a car, and it was WRX. And we've been looking all over. A lot of them have rebuilt titles because they've been raced and drifted by all the kids. And this one had a clean title, and there's a little bit more money because of that. But anyway, I go, I think it's a good car. Let's buy it. So we bought it. She had no idea. She was looking at one in Salt Lake, and I didn't really feel good about that one. So she said, did you call the guy? I go, yeah, I don't know. I don't really feel good about it, kind of playing it off to her earlier that day, taking her to work. And then we went and bought this car later in the day, and then we put a new radio in there for her, so it has the iPhone stuff. And then because she's been watching Fast and Furious, she what's Paul Walker's character's name, Brian, whatever.
Yeah,
if you remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, she like a while ago, she said, "You kind of look like Paul Walker." So I always joke like that Paul Walker's going to come get you. So she was here at home, and I called Lexi. I go, "Where's Jersey?" So she gets Jersey on the phone. I said, "Hey, Paul Walker's out front, wants to take you on a ride." So I pull up in this WRX, right? And she freaked out. It was just so cool to see.
Oh, awesome.
See that discipline pay off. She was ecstatic. We got it on social media, the video, just how excited she was. But that's the reward of discipline, right?
Yes.
Is you have that tremendous, like, I did this. This is mine. This is awesome. And she was totally surprised by it, but she worked for it. She earned it. And we've seen that in our life. I've seen that you've seen it too. Trying to follow good principles growing up and finding a good partner in a wife, right?
Yes.
And you get married to your spouse. And by the way, for those who haven't found that yet, I think that people go, I want to find the right person for me. You work on you become the right person, and the right person will come into your life, right?
Yeah, I think that in that case, the person you become is going to attract or not the person you desire. So if you've got to become the person that you want, that they're attracted to that kind of individual, right? You've got to become that person.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And just, I've seen that in my life. Just, man, thank goodness whether my programming, my upbringing I learned from my parents, she learned from her parents, brought us together. Yeah. And then you start having kids, and we have all of our challenges just like anybody else does. I mean, marriage is tough sometimes, and kids are tough. So we were just talking about that, right? Yep. Kids will challenge you and frustrate you all the time, but man, it's cool to see it all come together.
And I think that's life, right? Anything we do worthwhile is going to be hard. I think so often people, you hear these dumb sayings by unsuccessful people, that they tell you like, oh, if it's hard, it's probably not for you, or something like this. It's like, it's just not true, right? The things that are the most valuable in life are going to be hard, right? And that's why they're valuable, because most people aren't willing to go get them because they're hard to get, whether it's a good marriage, being a great parent, having a successful business, being in physical shape. They're not easy things to do, but it's like you talking about Jersey. How cool is it? Because from your discipline, the things you taught her doing that, I know the joy of a father seeing her freak out like that. In fact, last week, you didn't know, but I left here and I went outside, and her and Sailor were just sitting in the car. And I go, you getting ready to go take it for a ride? She goes, no, I can't drive yet. I don't have my driver's license yet. I go, so what are you doing? She goes, I'm just sitting here so happy I have this car. And so I know as a father seeing that, how it's got to make you feel. But what I see is how awesome is it that you guys have taught her that, and then she's going to be able to take that lesson and apply it in her life and then her children's life. You've made an impact, not just in her life, but a lot of other people's lives in the future, because I definitely didn't have that growing up, right? And I think it's awesome. And that's every other part of our life too. Like sometimes people don't realize, maybe if you're going through a challenge in your marriage, for example, right now, maybe God put you through that challenge for you to be in a position to be able to help lots of other people through that challenge. And so, it might be hard, but if you look at the blessing through the hardship, then it's a lot more, I shouldn't say easier, but I don't know what other word to use. It's a lot easier to get through that hard time knowing that it's designed to make you stronger and be able to help somebody else throughout that process. Might be through your children, right? It might be in your business, right? You think about leadership in business. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to listen to this that want to be successful in their career and their life. And maybe they haven't had all the success they want to have. And right now it's hard. They're struggling. They're going through some stuff or whatever it may be. And they just wonder, is it ever going to happen for me? The fact is, it'll happen for you when you make a decision that no matter how hard it gets, you just continue to get stronger and stronger and stronger, and you're able to navigate through that situation, and looking at other people saying, hey, I've been there, I've done that, and I can help you get out of it, right? But you can't help someone get out of something you've never been out of.
No.
So instead of thinking about, oh my gosh, this situation's hard, it's uncomfortable, or whatever, is it ever going to work for me? How about you look for, what do I got to do to get better so I can get out of the situation? And leadership says I can help anybody who was in the same situation I was also get out of that situation.
Well, you get stronger through the challenges, during the challenges. Yes. That's when you're getting stronger, right? It's when things are smooth sailing, you're not growing.
Right now.
So, you have those challenges with your kids or your spouse or other relationships, and sometimes you're just like, man, this is tough. I don't even know, and you're struggling through it, and you're wrestling with it. And that's when you're learning how to get better, learning how to navigate it, and getting creative and reaching out and all that kind of stuff. I'd have thought too, there's been a lot of talk out there, I think more of a message recently, I think, than maybe in years past on self-care. You got to take care of yourself. And I agree. I mean, you got to take care of yourself, but I think there's so much, I don't know if it's, pullback's the right word, but people are so maybe caught up selfishly. Again, I think this has to do with, you look at the greatest generation, which is our grandparents, right, versus today's generation. That generation was focused mostly on other people.
Yes.
Right?
I'm glad you said that.
And so I think today, there is this message of, you got to take it, do what you feel, live your truth and all this stuff. And I get what they're trying to say, but man, if we will, and I got to always catch myself and work on this too. If we can focus on other people and what they need and serve them, our needs are taken care of.
Yes.
God takes care of us.
Yes.
So I don't know.
I think you're 100% right. To me, it seems like if you're worried about self-care, isn't that a selfish thing? Because I at the end of my life, and I've said this before, there's, I'm going to have a tombstone, and it's going to say what kind of man I was. Never going to say how much money I had. No, it's going to say what kind of man I was. And I don't ever want it to look back and go, man, he was a selfish man. He sure took care of himself. Sure paid attention to himself. He died, with, he was happy and taking care of himself. Rather than I want to make an impact and go, he was selfless. He did everything he could to help other people, everything he could to make the world a better place, everything he could to serve other people around him. And because of that, live a fulfilled life. Mm-hmm. And that has to be intentional. So when it comes to self-care, do I think it's important? My question to you is, why do you need to live a life that causes you to have to escape constantly to get self-care? Like, why do you put yourself in that position to begin with? And who are you taking advice from? And think about this whole generation. Everybody in this generation that's saying that stuff has taken advice from a previous generation who sold their soul for a 401k and a pension. Mm-hmm. Right? And so when we take advice from people and our information is only based on what we know, and then we try to live a life based on that information and it's not working, and so we try to feel okay about it, and we become selfish. That's why there's so many mental challenges in the world today, is because people are trying to figure out, how can I feel better about me? Well, the way you feel better about you is to do more, to be more, to have more, to go out and serve more, right? Make the world a better place. That's how you're going to feel better about you, mm-hmm. right? And in that process, I've always said, well, I don't care what people think about me. It's not that I don't care what people think about me. I can't control what people think about mm-hmm. me. But I do want people to have a good perspective, right? So it's not that I don't care. I just know I can't control it. Mm-hmm. And so I don't put a lot of thought or a lot of energy into worrying about things that I can't control rather than what can I control. No. And so I think rather than self-control or self-care is, can you control putting yourself in an environment where you can have a career you're not trying to escape from? Can't you put yourself in an environment and design a life that you love to wake up every day and you get to do that you don't? Because to me, self-care is usually from a perspective of someone saying, man, I've had a long week. I got to go do some yoga, or I got to go get a massage, or, you'll hear whatever, women, I got to go get my nails done and my toes done, self-care, mm-hmm. Get my hair done, self-care. And that's fine to make you feel better about yourself.
Yeah, we're talking about working out, so that's self-care, right?
It is.
But what is the motivation behind it, I think, is the question.
What is the life that you're trying to build? Are you actually building a life you're trying to escape and you constantly need self-care? Or are you building a life that is the life you absolutely desire? And so every day you get to wake up, like I know Jersey is doing right now, can't wait to go see her new car. She just got a new car as a reward. And I promise you now, she's not going, oh, I don't want to go to work tomorrow. I got my car. I don't need to go to work. She's going, I just hit a goal. Mm-hmm. I'm so excited about it. And now she's thinking about all the other possibilities in life.
And she's got to pay for $4 gas.
Yeah. 4. Where are you getting it for 4?
5, 6. 5? What is it now?
I don't know. I don't even know what
I don't pay attention either.
But it ain't 4.
Hey, by the way, if you're I hate high gas prices as much as the next guy. Yeah. But I don't know the exact amount it costs per gallon of gas. I haven't paid attention to that for a long time, right?
No, it's been a long time.
And that's a blessing. That's a blessing. So, I mean, if you're not in that position, keep going, because you want to get to a place where, if gas is here's the advantage of high gas prices is less traffic.
Yes,
maybe,
for sure.
If they get high enough.
Yeah, it depends on what city you go to. Anyway, I think that self-care is important if it comes from the right perspective, right? But I think most people's perspective is an escapist perspective, mm-hmm. rather than I want to become better, stronger, whatever it may be, mentally stronger, physically stronger, whatever it is, because look, life's hard. Just accept it. Life is not easy. Like, why does everybody try to make stuff easy, man? I can't figure out why everybody's always looking for the easy path. When you do something hard, isn't that the time that you're at the end of it, you go, man, I'm glad that we did this hard thing. I'm glad I accomplished it. Accomplishment. That's what Jersey's thinking right now. She went and did something that was uncomfortable. She got a reward from it. The accomplishment came in. We've talked about this. People always say fall in love with the journey. The journey sucks. The destination is why you're doing it. And only successful people who have had success look back and say fall in love with the journey, because now they know the destination. And so it's like, if it's not fall in love with the journey, it's fall in love with the process of accomplishment, right? Fall in love with the process that you start with nothing. You got to set a goal. You've got to be motivated. You got to be disciplined. You've got to have a schedule. You got to have these things, and then you get accomplishment. And then as soon as you get accomplishment, you have a choice to settle or to do it again and go to the next level. And I'll never forget another thing from Whittle, right? I called Whittle one time, and at this time, Whittle had the number one producing office in the 40-year history of the company. No one single office had done more production than his office. So I called him and I said, hey, I just heard this and wanted to ask you about it. What is the difference between you and everybody else? 40 years, millions of people, and you've done more. And I said, what's the difference? So this might be a little bit controversial, but he said, Jeff, what's the difference between the prostitute on the corner or the homeless dude under the bridge from the middle-class American living in a single-family home in a regular neighborhood? He goes, what's the difference between those individuals? I go, I don't know. Is this a trick question? He goes, there is no difference, Jeff. They just settled. He goes, they just settled at different places. Right? And he goes, so the difference between me and other people is I just didn't settle. And it's taken me a long time. I mean, that was probably 12 years ago. I've digested that over and over and over and over. But what I've realized, the process of success is a continuous journey of set a goal, right? From a desire, something you want to achieve, set a goal to achieve that desire. Ups and downs in this process, struggles and wins that you're going to have currently. You get an accomplishment. It feels really great. And you have the desire at that accomplishment to say, okay, let's go to the next level, or I got it and I'm done. And that's what settling is. And if people can choose not to settle, okay, you got a job making $50,000 a year at a bank, or you're a police officer, you want to be a cop forever, and now you're finally a police officer. You have a choice to settle, or do you continue getting better? Now, do you say, if you're a police officer, now you say, you know what, I want to lead SWAT. Or, then you lead SWAT and you say, you know what, I want to be chief, or whatever it may be. You're going to have to go on another journey.
Yeah.
Right. And
we're not wired to settle. Any human being that settles, you'll start to self-destruct at that point.
Right.
So it's important that when you get to that, I've been there. I've been
We've
there.
all been there.
Yeah, I've achieved this. I'm good. And the challenge at that point is, okay, what's the next thing that I can go do where I can find the next purpose, right?
Yes.
Have that next goal that really drives you, by the way.
Yep.
Not that you're setting it just because you think you're supposed to do it out of duty, but that's what I'm called to do.
How about like your marriage? You see this so often. You get marriage picture, and I challenge everybody to do this. Look at your wedding picture and look at what you both look like. And if you've been married for 10, 15, 20 years, and look at most people have gained a lot of weight, and they just, and I've seen this too. It's a scary thing. You'll see people on social media all of a sudden, if a husband and wife are both overweight and one of them all of a sudden starts getting fit, you go, oh, dang, right? What's going on? And is it they settled, right? They stopped doing the things. And so I would just challenge anybody that's married, that's listening to this. I would challenge you to think about before you got married. Were you spending an hour on the phone with your wife, right? When she wasn't your wife, and sending her flowers and writing her a poem, or sending her a nice text, or writing her a letter? You did that stuff, and then you got married, and then all of a sudden you stopped?
Yeah.
Like, why? Because, now you achieved the destination. Now you just settled, right? But do you really want to marry the kind of person that's okay with just settling?
Right. Yeah. No. Who wants to do that, right?
Because I don't, right? So
yeah.
I think that if we're going to have, whether it's a marriage or business or whatever, I think a marriage is a good example, because a lot of people can relate to this one, where people just settled after they got married, to say, you know what? I'm going to do things to serve my spouse. I'm going to become an incredible husband, right? Or I'm going to become an incredible spouse, and I'm going to do things that I always have done. You know, like honestly, if I'll show it to you right now, and I'm not just saying this to say this, that I'm not perfect by any means, but right before I got here, I just, I told Kelsey, hey, I just want to tell you, you're my world. I'm so blessed. You're my bride. For real. I think I'm the luckiest man in the world. Right. And so I just want her to know constantly, like, hey, I'm blessed. I feel grateful you're my wife. I want her to constantly know, whether it's writing her a note or sending her flowers or buying her a gift. And again, self-improvement. There's books you can read on this stuff, right? 5 love languages. And you referred me to a book one time called Marriage Fitness, which was really good. And so you see these things. And I think the same thing to have a great marriage is the same thing to have a great business. But if you'll take these fundamentals and you'll apply them to your life, especially in your marriage, you're going to transform your life. You know, because once you learn how to do it in one area, you can learn how to do it in other areas. And I think that would be a very valuable tool for people. I know it is for me, and I'd constantly try to do it and get better at it. Which say, you know what are the things that I did when we were dating? What are the things I did early on? We're still in that honeymoon phase. Because those are the times where we have these butterflies in our stomach.
And remember how you felt.
Yes. Yeah. Right?
Yep.
I think we can, if we did those in all areas of our life, right? Early on in our fitness, we're so excited, man, we're learning all this stuff, and you know, and then something happens. You get injured or you get sick or whatever, maybe fall off or whatever it may be, you know, and then people living in the past, this old guy that played football in high school still talking about high school. You know, when are you going to make the future better than high school?
No.
What are you talking about? What are you accomplishing now? Right. And so I think those things are very important when it comes to these topics we're talking about. Motivation, discipline, self-improvement is really going back to those things that drive you and keep you excited about the journey, because the journey sucks, right? Yep. But if you're constantly going back to those things that got you started, the original motivation, you're going to get to a destination and realize all these ups and downs in the process. You learn to love the process. You might not think, oh, I don't want to stay here forever. But you sure start to love it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff, man. No, I think as we're going through our journey, there's a lot of stuff that happens that we didn't see coming. And, those are the times when it's gut check time. You know, how are you going to respond? How are you going to react? And, good stuff, man.
I think a lot of people think that, you know, it's like if I'm not perfect or I mess up or along the way, it's over or whatever. It's like, it's just not true, man. It's
part of the process.
Or maybe God put you in that situation intentionally so that he could make you better through that process, so he could use you as a tool to help thousands or millions of other people who've gone through that process. Maybe that struggle is the thing that qualified you to change other people's lives. And unless you go through that struggle, you don't earn the qualification, right? I think we genuinely were meant to do something great with our lives. I think we were born for greatness. I think we were born to accomplish the desires that God put in our heart. And I think the only thing that stops us is us, our thinking, our lack of action, our lack of improvement, our lack of work ethic, who we surround ourselves with, right? It's not, we're already destined to be great. Right. The only thing stopping us is us from doing these little things. Right.
Well, yeah, we're studying Job right now in the Bible, and you look at his story, and dude, here's
if it could go wrong, it did.
Here's the most perfect man in the land, right?
Yeah.
And the most blessed man in the land, and then all of a sudden, all these tragic things, major tragic things happen, and you just watch his. I mean, I think. We catch ourselves sometimes. I mean, bad things happen to good people, right?
Yep.
Doesn't mean you're a bad person. Sometimes that happens because, like you said, God is putting you through that for a reason, and we don't always see that reason. And I think sometimes maybe God takes a chance and goes, I might lose him. I might lose Job if I put him through this. But if he can get through this, man, he's going to impact. I mean, how many people over the course of history has Job's story helped? Right, like millions of people, right?
Hundreds
of millions. And Job stayed faithful, and by the end of his life was doubled with twice what he had before, right?
Yep.
And that's how it is for those that are out there struggling right now, whether with whatever it might be. I mean, you have a decision. You have a decision to either stop being faithful and going the other way, or staying true and staying faithful to the right principles. We all know what those are. Be a good person, treat other people well. Make sure God's in your life. Make sure you're doing what he wants you to do. and He will bless you. And the process you're going through right now is the exact process. It's a refiner's fire.
Yep.
Pressure creates diamonds. So if you're in that pressure situation right now, you're becoming a diamond if you allow it to help you become a diamond, right? And
I would also say that maybe somebody doesn't feel like they're in that situation. Maybe you feel like you're winning, but you've settled, right? Maybe you feel like, I've had some success or whatever, but really deep down, you've settled and you maybe lost that fire inside. And I would challenge the same thing. Go back to those things, start dreaming again and start, it's scary, right? I think the reason we settle, we've all been there. The reason we settle is because there's a lot of fear involved, that you're going to have to make some sacrifices. You're going to have to give up some things that are comfortable in order to go to really where you were destined to be, right? And
always,
and I think like you're saying God put you through those things. I don't think God puts us through those things. I think He allows us to go through those things, and allows us to gain the strength that we need to become the warrior we're supposed to become, whatever that is, man.
Yep.
So appreciate you today, dude. I think this message is going to help a lot of people, and it's crazy we can take a few words and talk about them for hours.
Have a discussion.
Yeah. I mean, it really is awesome. And all these things, as we start talking about it, and it just makes me so grateful for all the things that I've been able to be exposed to in the past, and all the people and the mentors and books and leadership and all the people that have created content that I've been able to consume and has helped my life in such a positive way. And hopefully that as people listen, we can continue to do it for other people and continue to pass it on in a format where they can consume whether they're running or whatever, right?
Amen.
So
good stuff, buddy.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Appreciate your insight today.
Yeah, man. For those of you guys listening, thank you so much. If you guys would do us a favor, whether you're listening on one of the streaming platforms or you're watching on YouTube, if you will please rate it, comment, like it, share it, as much as you can do, so we can continue to make that algorithm happy and continue to expose our message to a lot of other people. Share our Instagram profile if you will. That would be amazing. We want to get this message out to as many people as possible. Thanks again for tuning in to this episode. Appreciate y'all, and remember to stay solid.